Thank you so much for joining us this evening for the Berea City School District State of the Schools address. Please stand as Catherine Valencic leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start this evening's presentations, I'd like to just take a moment of silence. Today, we lost one of our students, a first grader at Grindstone, who was involved in a terrible car accident over the weekend. So please take a moment to remember and think and put in your thoughts Aaliyah Bailey, a first grader in Carla Mendato's first grade class at Grindstone. Thank you. I'd like to also just recognize some of our students, especially our jazz band, if we can give them a round of applause. Thanks, Jeff Farali, for your work in getting our students here this evening. Also, Lisa Cheshire brought our wonderful presenters out in the lobby. If you came here early enough, you heard our strings as well. So if we can give them a round of applause. And then we have a few students in the back that are filming tonight's event. Grace Evanoff and Ethan Lane. You can wave. Thank you very much for your work this evening. They are part of the high school, the Bolt. They are our student videographers. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Berea Board of Education President, Anna Chapman, and she's going to spend some time this evening introducing or sharing the agenda and highlighting some of the significant things that have happened from the board's perspective.
Welcome, and thank you for coming this evening. It's my pleasure and my privilege to serve as an elected member of our Board of Education, as well as its president this year. Also here tonight are my school board colleagues. If you could please stand and be recognized. Vice President Fred Szabo. Corey Ferris. Neil Postal. And Dave Tressel. Thank you to some of our city leaders who have also joined us tonight. Please help me welcome Nick Hashka, Berea Councilman. And we have several of our Brook Park Councilmen, Jim Astorino, Carl Bergio, Jim Mancini, and Richard Scott. Thank you. All right, thank you. So here's our agenda for this evening. We promise to move through quickly so we can get to your questions at the end. So the board spent a great deal of time last spring and summer evaluating where the district was and where we would like for it to go. We decided that we wanted to start by creating a new motto and vision that best describes who our school district is. We realized that the same events that presented the district with its biggest upheaval and controversy in recent memory also brought about much glory and renewed spirit and pride. The consolidation of our schools in 2013 brought us all together. Kids and parents made new friends, staff had new colleagues, and most importantly, our students were given opportunities they never would have had otherwise. The Titans became the whole district mascot and brought about a renewed school spirit in all of us. I see reminders of this every day. Cars with Titan stickers, people wearing their Titan gear. And it's not just the students who are proud Titans. Many parents, grandparents, and community members also wear their orange and blue proudly. It is this renewed pride that brought us to the realization that although we are three individual cities, we are one school community. Community became the important message that we wanted to convey. After input from the executive team and the strategic planning committee, we decided on our new motto. A community of excellence, integrity, and purpose. The passage of Issue 107 was a historic moment for us and further emphasized how important community is. Because we worked as a community, our children and future students will benefit from renovated buildings and new construction. Our new motto needed a vision to go with it. We talked about what's important and what we value. Our children are much more than a score on a test, and our district is much more than a letter grade on a report card created by people with no knowledge of education. Our children are the most precious resource we have. They are our future. It is the district's responsibility to prepare them for life, whether they get there through college, career, or the military. Our students are active in their communities. They are artists, musicians, chefs, writers, athletes, scientists, and so much more. So much more than a number. With all of this in mind, our new vision, the Berea City School District is a diverse community dedicated to inspiring lives of character, learning, leadership, and service. All qualities that will serve our children well as they become well-rounded human beings. I often get asked, what exactly does a school board member do? And before I was on the board, I thought I had an idea, but it turned out to be a lot more than I thought, which is not a bad thing. My board colleagues and I spent some time talking about what we do and why we do it. You should know what our responsibilities are. We are here to represent you, the taxpayers, and most importantly, do what is best for our students. First is a vision, adopting a shared vision based on community beliefs to guide local education. Structure, to develop long-term plans and monitor progress, review and adopt policies, and allocate resources, support high instructional standards and encourage an innovative learning environment, attend school and community events, which is where you probably see us most of the time, and be accessible and responsive to the community. This is very important. Please don't ever hesitate to contact any of us with any concerns or questions. Accountability. The school board employs and evaluates the superintendent and the treasurer, and we also work to promote communication throughout the district. And advocacy. We advocate for families and children through strong partnerships with our cities and our state government. We lead celebrations of student and staff achievement. That's a newer thing we've done at our board meetings, and it's probably one of our favorite things to do, to see students and staff come to our meetings and we honor their achievements. And promote school involvement as a meaningful way to contribute to society. Our job is not to run the school district, but it is our job to give the superintendent and the treasurer the tools, resources they need to guide our staff and students to a community of excellence, integrity, and purpose. One of those tools is a strategic plan. The district hadn't updated the strategic plan in quite some time, so we decided to start from scratch last school year. A committee of parents, community members, teachers, and staff came together and developed a plan to lead us into the future. You can view the strategic plan on the district website. Another tool the board provides for the district leadership is goals. Our district goals for this school year are to advance high-quality professional learning practices to support all employees, staff development, to make sure our staff has what they need to help our students learn, expand counseling services to support students and help connect families with community resources. Cultivate a cohesive district-wide community identity, the Titans, that unites and inspires our students, staff, parents, and school programs. Focus communication efforts on engaging stakeholders to take action to support students and the needs of our community. Build and renovate district facilities to support educational programs and to provide community-based access and use by our communities and the district. Establish a plan for an efficient use of our current facilities based upon student enrollment and the current facility master plan. And expand paperless initiative to encompass all aspects of district operations. Thank you for listening, for being here tonight, and for supporting our schools. Now let's take a minute to enjoy another tune from our Berea Mid-Park High School Jazz Band. Thank you. I'd like to introduce our superintendent, Mr. Mike Shepard.
We'll wait 1 second just so we can get all the kids out. Well, again, thank you so much for coming this evening. This is the first time we've done a State of the Schools address for our community. We've held these type of events in the past for our Chamber of Commerce during the day, and it's hard for people to get there and listen. And this time of year, we also, in particular this year, we have a lot of exciting things that we wanted to share this evening, and then give you an opportunity to ask a number of us different questions. When you came in this evening, you got a copy of our quality profile, and you also got a piece of paper that throughout my presentation and also Anna's, if there's any questions that you'd like to jot down, we'll be collecting those at the end of my presentation, trying to get to as many of those as we can without dragging out the evening. I will promise you that we'll collect those, we'll make sure that we take them back, we'll write them out, we'll give you answers to those, and we'll post those on our district website. So, I wanted to talk just about our quality profile. There are two things the district has done to try to communicate clearly to our community, both inside our school district, our entire school community. That means our staff, even our students, and our community as a whole, what we're doing in the Berea City School District. Anna shared in her statements that we are much more than just numbers that you may read in the newspaper or sometimes see online. And we produced a quality profile to address that. The first thing I wanted to talk about is where we stand in some of the things that you may have heard of that come from the state of Ohio. And that is our state report card. So just some background information about how the state has gone about collecting data on whether or not our students are on track in learning based on grade levels. Over the last 4 years, the state has put out for our students to take tests, 3 separate tests in the last 4 years. And I can also tell you that we were not necessarily always notified in a timely way that a new test was being implemented, and we were not necessarily also given resources to prepare our students to be successful on those tests. An example of that would have been when the PARCC assessment was initiated in the state of Ohio. We were one of several states that participated. And if you were a parent, I know that our staff recognized that that was a very difficult time for us as a school district. There was a lot of energy and tension outside of the school district in regards to the PARCC assessment and the Common Core. And with that, that came into the schools. When we were asking our students to take tests, we had families elect not to participate. And that reflected on our overall scores. We are, at this point in time, the state has the test that last year we did the air test. This will be the second year of the air test for us. So we're hoping that there's some consistencies so that we can get some good, accurate trend data to use throughout the school year. The current report card that came out identifies 6 separate areas. The first is achievement. Achievement is how well our students do on the test. And there are multiple areas, categories that our students can actually perform. So you can be proficient, and then there are several categories above proficient, and each category above gets more value. And then you can be below proficient, and there are several categories underneath that area as well that gives you less value on how well your students are doing. That all calculates into one number that's called your performance index. It's important to also recognize that prior to all of the different changes that were being done at the state level, we were on an upward trend in performance. The gap closing. The state has a number that they use statewide with all the student results, and they compare subgroups. And we have multiple subgroups that we recognize in the school district. Economically disadvantaged, limited English proficient, African American, Hispanic. Some districts don't have all those groups. So they don't necessarily, some districts don't have numbers or things that would be on their report card in regards to gap closing. That's another area that we focus on. Progress, right? So progress is this value added. This is, this measures how well a student has grown over a year, right? There's been some confusion lately in regards to this in the media, in the difference between achievement, proficient, and growth, which is progress, how much a student grows over a year. And they measure that. Some of our students grow more than a year, and others grow the exact, the appropriate, I mean, that for that whole year, and then others show that that's less growth for a full year. K through 3 literacy. This is whether or not a kindergarten student is at the right level to move in comparison to first grade to second grade to third grade, and then we hit the big issue of the third grade guarantee. In the third grade guarantee, if you are a parent who has an elementary student, you know that a student has to pass a third grade test to move into fourth grade in English language arts. And we take a test in the fall. And at that point, we have to identify students who are not on track to be able to pass a third grade test. We have put in place these reading improvement plans, which, just so you also understand from a teacher's perspective, in the past we had probably, some classrooms had a handful. This year, because of the change in the assessments, our teachers in third grade are expected to do a number of reading improvement plans for our third grade students. And then they take that test again in the spring. There are also a number of different ways for our students to be able to show that they are at the third grade level when it comes to reading. Graduation rate, there's actually 2 graduation rates. There's one for 4-year cohorts and 5-year cohorts. That's exactly what it sounds like, kids that can graduate in 4 years, and then other students that graduate over a 5-year period. And I'll share some numbers based on 2016 in regards to that soon. Prepared for success, this is all about college and career readiness. This is how many kids do well on the ACT, remediation free, so they go into college and be successful. There are a number of other factors underneath that, prepared for success, that are measured. Each one of these areas we get a grade in. And I can tell you that this past year's report card, we did not fare well. And we believe that that is a foundation for us, as I've said before, that it is now an opportunity as the test stays consistent for us to move forward. Before I get off of this, I do want to say there are a couple of hot issues that are happening right now in the state, and I think it's important for you to know. One is the graduation requirements. You may have read about this in the paper. Many of us are lobbying with our legislators in Columbus because, based on legislation, the Ohio Department of Education put in place point systems for our students to be able to graduate. Many of us, none of us in this room, unless you're a student that's at the high school, experience that. They take a class, they perform well in the class, they pass the class, but then, on top of that, they have to take an end-of-course exam, and they get point values based on how well they do in that end-of-course exam. And across the state, not just in the Berea City Schools, across the state, they track to see how many 11th grade kids are on track to graduate. And they're all over the place, but on average, probably right now, they say that there's about 30%, maybe just more, of our students statewide that are not on track to graduate based on the point system. That is handed to people midstream. Obviously, we don't believe that that's appropriate. We're looking for ODE to make adjustments, and we will be most likely counting on people in this room to help communicate that to our legislators. It's something that we don't believe is fair for our students. The other thing that's happening at the state, based on federal legislation, and then I'll get off of this so I don't put you to sleep, something called the ESSA. It's the old No Child Left Behind Act, new legislation. The intent of the legislation from the federal government was to push the responsibilities and decision-making back to local school boards, local governments. What happens in this process is the feds send it to the state then says they have to design their own plan, which makes it much more restrictive, limiting the decision-making that needs to be made at the local level. One of those hot issues is the amount of testing that we're doing for our kids, that our kids have to participate in. We are soon going to be in what we call now the testing season in schools. We are going to have interruptions throughout the day. We have tests right now that there'll be days where only some kids can come to school. Some of our tests will go 4 hours long. We have to allot 4 hours for a complete grade level. That is not easy to do in a school. I can see a number of the administrators that are in this room that are trying right now to deal with scheduling and how we can best make sure that we're trying to run our schools on a daily basis so that instruction can continue. That also is right now in a draft form and looking for feedback. We are, again, communicating with the people that are involved at the Ohio Department of Education who are writing that document. We may also look to you for some support. So that's the information you get from the state, but that doesn't tell you the whole story of what we do in the Berea City School District. That tells you a small amount. As you have in your hand the quality profile provides you with what I believe is a comprehensive view of what we do. Obviously, in our business, the core is instruction. But we do a lot more in our classrooms and in our buildings every single day. Some of the things that I wanted to highlight that are successes. Class of 2016, we had a 95.8% graduation rate. You can see here in 2015-16 school year, our students earned over almost 3,000 credits toward college. That's the College Credit Plus program, where our students can take courses in our high school, dual enrollment courses, and get both high school credit and college credit. We have students, and this is something that we are proud of, right, that are successful in those courses, but they also leave our campus. And they go to Tri-C, they go to Lakeland, they go to BW, they go to Case Western, they go to John Carroll, Cleveland State, and they do well. Many of our kids will go into college with at least a half year, if not more, completed. So from a parent's point of view, I have 2 kids in college, right? It helps the bank account that those courses are covered. Now, they're not free. School district pays for those, and we pay for the books, because a lot of people will say it's free. It's not, right? We pay for it. We also want to make sure people recognize that we have performed well on the ACT, and also that we have a number of students that we recognize. Anna shared earlier, and this has just been a great tradition that's happened in our district from the board's perspective. They invite students. And in the years past, we recognize students once a year at the end of the year for accomplishments. Now it's every month. We're bringing in people, we're bringing in kids, we're highlighting programs, and we're recognizing them in a timely way. You know, if they're successful in something in the fall, for them to wait until we finish up in May, sometimes it's difficult for them to come. A couple of other facts you see in there. College Board Advanced Placement courses. We have 14 AP courses. We have about 1,300 students that are enrolled in Polaris Career Center. People may not know that within our high school, we have programs that are actually Polaris programs. They are a great partner to the school district. Project Lead the Way, biomedical, pre-engineering, teaching professions. We partner with Polaris on a number of different initiatives, and we continue to try to work with them to find new ways to work together. 210 students are enrolled in 878 dual enrollment courses. We have teachers at the high school that have been able to qualify to be able to teach dual enrollment courses. That's not always easy. right? Because you have to have your master's degree in the content area. But I can tell you that reflects on our staff and their qualifications. And then we just have a huge National Honor Society. Thanks to those that are babysitting this evening. They're getting hours towards their National Honor Society hour requirement. 64 students that were inducted. And then as you can see in the quality profile, if you flip through that, we're really proud of some of the unique things that we offer. CoLake, Avid. You can look at all the accomplishments we have in the arts and how consistent we are in being recognized for those programs. We have unique opportunities for our students during the day and then also after the day is complete or before the day begins at all of our buildings, elementary all the way up. We're going to have a performance here next week from our young students in the elementary drama program, and they are phenomenal. So if you have nothing to do, look that up online and come on over and watch. So that document really gives a comprehensive viewpoint of where we are as a school district. It tells much more of the story. We're really proud of this. We sent out in the fall a quality profile executive summary. We wanted to make sure that we had all the information that we needed to be able to publish this document. It's online. We don't have a lot of copies. Everyone here, I think, received a copy. We may have just a few more. If somebody that you know, you want to get them one of those documents, please contact Christina she was over there in the corner. She's not going to wave, but she has them in her office. And then also, we talked about recognizing our students for achievement, priority 1. We spend a lot of time doing that. If you just go to the high school website and you look on the left-hand column, you can see all of the just great accomplishments of our students. And then actually, if you click on that, it'll take you to another page, and it goes on and on and on about all the accomplishments, not just athletic accomplishments, but also academic achievement and different things that our kids are participating in all over the state. Another just quick highlight, this year at the high school, we have a number of students that are traveling abroad here in the next few weeks. We've had that in the past, but it continues to expand. We're excited about our kids understanding the global perspective and traveling all over the world over the next few weeks. What I'd like to share shortly is we also, Anna talked about the Titan Pride, and we recognize that through our athletic program that a lot of pride comes from our student athletes and those that are at the events. If you go to a basketball game, you'll see a whole big section of students that are out there cheering, and then you'll see probably 1 or 2 administrators in the front making sure the kids are, under control, not falling off the stands. But I'd like to just show quickly a video of our athletic achievements. As you can see, we have a lot of great things that have happened with our athletic program. I'd like to thank Adam Howard, who actually, we pulled those pictures from a video that he put together, actually a PowerPoint that he put together, so thanks Adam for that work. At this point, I'd like to ask Ryan Gazzoni to come up, our district treasurer. He's going to spend just a little bit of time talking about district finances.
So before I get started, Anna and Christine are going to come around. If you filled out any of those question cards and you'd like to hand those to them, we'll try and answer them at the end of the meeting. So just raise your hand if you do, and they'll come around and grab them. So my task tonight was to give you a very brief financial outlook for the district. I was told I have one of the more boringest jobs in the district, so I'll try and keep it brief and as interesting as possible. But for our financial outlook, my office puts together with the assistance of the rest of the administration and the board 2 documents. One is the 5-year forecast, and the other one is our budget. So we'll just give a brief overview of those. When I came to the district, we established 2 policies working with the board and the superintendent. We were going through a rough time financially, and in order to bring back some financial stability and ensure that there was a longer range of financial stability, we established 2 policies. And one was our cash balance. We had brought our cash balance down till we could operate for 2 days in the school district. In January of 2014, we came within 1 day of not making payroll. And so the goal was, based on some national standards, was to maintain a level of 10% of our operating budget in our cash balance. Last year, we successfully hit that mark, and we are projected to maintain that through 2021. And that's important, and not only important for the continuance of our programs in our school district, but also for unforeseen circumstances, so we're able to overcome those and gives us time to figure out changes should something happen. Our second is looking at our operating surplus and deficit, and in the forecast line 6.01 tells you, are we spending more money than we're bringing in, or are we have a balanced budget? And so starting in 2014, for the first time in 5 years, we were able to achieve a balanced budget. We've had some unfortunate circumstances with the recession that dropped a substantial amount of our revenue we received, and we've been able to maintain a balanced budget. And our goal is, if we can maintain a balanced budget 2 years out, we'll continue to grow our cash balance, which means that's less that we have to go back to the voters to ask for new money. It also means that we can have a continued curriculum in offering to students. We don't have to have spikes where we increase them and then have to make cuts and decrease them. We can have more of a level and then hopefully an increase in what those programs and those offerings are. So another thing that I was asked to do is a current outlook. What does our revenue and expenditures look like? I can tell you that we are in a much different situation locally for our outlook. Reviewing data that we constantly have to look at and analyze, our 3 communities in 2012 all had about 161 home sales each, 161 to 164, pretty consistent. We are now, this past year, 2 of our communities, Brook Park and Berea, were over 300 home sales, and we had 215 in Middleburg Heights. Just 2 years ago, we reached in most of our communities our lowest home sales that we'd seen in a number of years, in decades. And in all 3 of our communities, in the last 2 years, we've seen home sales increase over the previous year. We saw the recovery start a little bit quicker in Middleburg Heights than Berea. And what I can tell you is in Brook Park, they had reached a low home sale in 2012 of about $88,000 a home. They increased by more than $10,000 in 2015. In 2016, they increased by another $10,000. They're currently around $109,000 average home sale. That's all good news. That makes we retain our revenue. When home values drop, we lose revenue because of where our millage is. When home values go up, we don't increase, we maintain the revenue that we're getting on property taxes. When you look at commercial activity, we have not seen that type of turnaround yet in our communities, but we're not seeing the drops we saw during the recession. We have seen minor drops this last year, nothing like we used to see. And also when property owners file tax complaints because they think their property values are too high, and mainly these are big commercial properties, we then have to repay money if they're successful in getting their property values lowered. Just 2 years ago, we were overpaying in a year about $2.5 million in refunds. It averaged about $1.2 million a half. We get property twice a year. This year, in 2016, that was only $872,000. And the positive thing with that out of the general fund is this last second half is only $72,000. So we are seeing less requests, or they're not as successful in getting their property values lowered, so we're not refunding as much. That's all positive things for us. That means that we're going to be able to maintain our revenue levels. It's a positive reflection on the community. I'm going to say in a little bit here even why it's more important. Another thing, though, is the state outlook. And if you've been listening to what the governor's kind of been hinting at, on January 31st, he'll give his State of the State address. And the state has, there's been some conversation in the newspaper that we're going into a recession. And what you can see if you look at the state revenue data, which isn't the most exciting stuff, is we're not dropping revenue, we're just not hitting the marks they thought we'd hit. And so this budget they're coming up on, they do a biennial budget, and the governor will release that, what his proposed plan is on January 31st. And it's going to be tight, they said. Just today, they came out with an article saying that they believe education will get a 1% increase. That's important to us. It doesn't mean that we're going to get a 1% increase. There's many different components that I could go well into and probably lose everyone in the room. But what's important for you to know is, one, we used to get a tax in this district based off our businesses and the inventory they had, and it used to bring in over 25% of our revenue, over $20 million. And that was eliminated by the state. And they replaced it with a different type of tax, and that tax, rather than coming to the school district, goes directly to Columbus. And so they've been phasing that out. And it brought in $8.9 million just 2 years ago, and they started reducing it at a greater speed. So it'll be completely gone. We'll lose all $8.9 million annually. It's down to just over $5 million right now, and by 2022 it'll be completely gone. So we have to adjust our budget and know that's coming. The state said that they would give us a supplement. We believe that supplement is $1.2 million right now, $1.1 million. That's going to be completely gone with this next budget. We're pretty sure, unless we know the governor will try and eliminate it unless the House or Senate brings it back in. We have to prepare for that. And then the other thing is the state funding formula. The state has a funding calculation, and it says how much we should get based on our property values, number of students. And that funding calculation says we should get over $12.5 million. And the state says we can't afford to give you that much money, so we're going to give you just over $9.5 million. And then each year we'll tell you how much you can go up until you eventually get to the amount we say that you should get. We're called a cap district. So we're assuming that will increase by 5%. So we're really looking forward to see what happens with this state budget. Are we going to hit our 5% cap and get that money to come in? Is our $1.2 million going to go away in our supplement? It's all real important to our budget process. And there's a lot of details in there that we'll be analyzing, probably starting January 31st. Then the last piece, for those of you that don't know, we've had a lot of news coming out of Washington. And we have a lot of questions. I got a couple tonight, is what does that mean for us? There's been some controversy over who's been appointed to certain the Department of Education. I can tell you for our general fund, our main operating fund, we don't have any federal revenue in there. It's unclear, when there's a lot of talk about vouchers at the federal level, it's unclear how they're going to institute that, because all of our federal funding, the vast majority of our federal funding is in programs. Title I, special education programs, preschool programs, that is not part of our general operating funds. So it remains to be seen how specifically that's going to affect us. And I think right now we don't really have an idea at all of what it's going to look like. I'm not sure anyone does. So the next thing I'll briefly go over is we put together a budget each year. And in our district, we are proud to be one of only 3 districts in the state of Ohio that have adopted a national standard called the Meritorious Budget Criteria. And this year, we were just awarded for the 3rd time with one of only just under 120 school districts in the country that received the award. And what we've done is it is a format that is supposed to merge visually in the document our curriculum and our extracurricular goals with the finances, and then put it in a user-friendly format for community members. And so hopefully, if you ever have any questions about finances, or about what is going on in the district as far as the budget, it's on our website, and I encourage you to take a look at it. With the new strategic plan, we have in there every strategic plan that has a financial dollar amount assigned to it, and what those action steps are to accomplish the goals of the strategic plan. We have gotten to a point now, and I think we're all very proud of, that within that budget, we have a staff technology replacement plan. We have a student technology replacement plan in addition to our current technology that we are offering. We have our textbook replacement plan in there. If you go in there, you can see what years and which subjects are going to be replaced, what the budget is. We have for our maintenance fleet, our school bus transportation. We have an entire section devoted just to facilities, which will change. And so as we start with this building project, we'll have every budget and cost in there for each building by section: plumbing, carpentry, furnishings, demolition. It will all be listed in there so you can see what the schedule is, the dates it's supposed to be completed, and how much it costs. We also have demographic and geographic changes. What's going on with our student body? What does our birth rates look like? What does our census look like? How many students are actually coming to the district? How many go to parochial schools? How many go to charter schools? What grade levels do we lose students? What grade levels do we add students? What's going on with poverty levels district-wide? We have that all in there, and it's important for us because it helps us understand what's going on in our district and how we can plan. And it's important for our community to look at because it tells you what's going on with our population, what communities are increasing or decreasing by how much. And that's what's helping us provide our enrollment projections and when we're doing these building projects of how we're going to house those and what they're going to look like. And so the final piece is the bond issue. And these two documents we just discussed, the superintendent and assistant superintendent myself will be traveling to New York City on Tuesday. And we'll be taking these documents with us, as well as a number of other documents that our legal counsel has prepared. And basically what we're going to do is go in front of a group of credit analysts. Moody's is who we'll be going in front of. And they'll take a look at all this information. They'll ask us in-depth questions about what's going on in our community from an economic standpoint, what our budgeting looks like, enrollment, everything we have in these documents and more. And what they're going to do is we're going to sell our story and try and get the best possible bond rating we can. A bond rating is much like a credit rating. That's very important. It's very important we got our cash balance to where it's at, stable, operating a balanced budget, stable, because that's going to affect the bonds we're going to sell in March for this project. It's going to affect the interest rate. It's going to affect your taxes for the next 37 years. The better interest rate we can get, the less you're going to pay in millage. So we'll be going for that and hopefully doing the best job we can to try and sell our story. And that will then be published. Moody's will publish that across the country and even international to investors. And then in March when we go to sell our bonds, based on what their rating is, we'll kind of like a credit rating is going to tell us what kind of rate we're going to get. So it's very important. And the last thing I'll say is, as part of this bond issue, we wanted to be very transparent. And so Mike's going to talk about the project, but we've also put into place a bond oversight committee. It's been made up of community members from all three communities, as well as board members, so we can go over every aspect of the project. They'll know what the budgets are, they'll know when there's changes. We'll go over what those changes are. They'll go over what this bond process is, all the way through until the buildings are complete. So we've assembled that, we've asked community members beyond that, and then so it's not just the district reporting out, there'll be another group, another committee that can report out to you as to what they're seeing and give us feedback on that. So with that, that concludes mine. I'll turn it back to Mike.
Okay, now that you know that we have $112.5 million, not in the bank yet, but thanks to issue 107, the bond issue, we're so excited, and we want to make sure that we thank all of our community members for their support. We have some just exciting things that are going to be happening in the school district based on that passage of the bond issue. And I just want to give you some of the highlights so that you know what we know today. As Ryan shared, we're going to go get the money so that we can start to do some of these projects. The first phase of our projects will really be happening in regards to construction, where you'll start to see things going on at Middlebrook Education Center in Middleborough Heights. That's the building that we will be connecting to our existing junior high. There'll be a lot of work with that actual section in between those two buildings, roof doors, windows, renovations inside of that building will be happening throughout next school year. We also will be starting to do some work over at Big Creek Elementary School. Now, we will most likely not be able to accomplish complete HVAC between now and the beginning of next school year, but we're hoping that we'll be able to do a lot of the work to be able to get HVAC and new heating and cooling systems in those buildings as soon as we can. That is going to be the first thing that you're going to start to see when it comes to construction. We have already selected the architect for our entire project, all the projects in the district. It's GPD, they're based out of Akron. We've worked with them in the past. We are in the process now of selecting what we call construction manager at risk companies, and they will be actually doing the work. Now, the last time we built a school was Grindstone Elementary School, and we used a different procedure. We had an architect, we had a construction management company, and then we ended up, throughout that process, having to approve and hire subcontractors to do the work to get that building completed. When you do a construction manager at risk project, which is much more common in the private sector, but now it's happening all over the state over the last several years with schools, it's like building, the best way to say it is like building your house. If you're going to build a house, you're going to hire a builder, and then you're going to tell them what you want to have inside the house, and then they're going to build it. They give you a guaranteed price on that, and then they get going on the building. We're in the process of actually selecting that company or companies to do the projects across the district. That most likely will be selected sometime this upcoming week. Once we have them on our team, we will start working on what we call the design. So the design of our elementary school, which is going to be housed right here on this property, will begin on February 2nd with a group of about 35 to 40 people that were identified that represent the communities, represent the school district, instruction, we'll have a number of teachers, support staff, custodians, again, people from the city, parents from the community, and then also we involve the rec departments and those type of things on that team. That's the core group. It's not the only group, but that's the core group that will begin the process of designing the new elementary school here in the city of Brook Park. They will reach out, our architects will reach out, and we'll have focus groups throughout the process, and we will also include our students. Our architects really enjoy getting out into the classroom and having conversations about what students think and what they think they should have in their classrooms. It gives a different perspective for them as they think about design. That will take almost a complete year to get done. Once that building is designed, then we'll begin doing the construction here at this site. The high school will be going on at the same time, and that actually starts up here in February. I think it's February 6th for that design team. Again, that group has been established. It's a little bit bigger. It's closer to about 40. That, again, is the core group. It's not the only people that will have an opportunity to share their thinking when it comes to the construction of the new high school. That building will take about a year to design. Once that's completed, we'll start doing the work again in that building behind the existing school. There was a lot of conversations about staging and how traffic comes in, making sure that our kids are safe. All those conversations will happen as we move forward. But the plan is for our elementary school here to be completed by the beginning of 2019-2020 school year. We will open the doors for our new elementary school here. We will open the doors for our brand new high school in 2020, August of 2020. I try to let people know, if you look at construction and you look at districts that are doing construction with existing facilities in front of them, that depending upon timing, we'll be moving kids into the building. The front part of our existing school may not all be completely down. A great example of that would be Strongsville Middle School. They completed that project, but they had some extra work to do with when they wanted to take down Center Middle School, which was in front of that. And if you go over there now, it's beautiful, green space, all the things that you would have thought with the new building. I want to just step back because the first piece of this, when it comes to our transition of moving our students, will happen in the year 2018. And that will be that we'll be moving our 5th grade and 6th grade students over to our middle level complex. They'll be utilizing MEC and the existing facility. MEC is a Middlebrook Education Center. There will be a lot of changes that will happen in the landscaping and traffic flow. We'll have traffic studies. Right now we have close to about 36 buses. I'm looking, Paul, probably about 36 buses that going into our junior high, and that creates some traffic on Paula Drive. We're working with the city to see if there's a way for us to be able to have traffic flow also off of Middlebrook so that we can alleviate some of the traffic on Paula. So once they move in, we'll continue to do some of the work over on that property. The landscaping and some additional parking, probably things that you'll notice from the outside. Once we move those students in, that'll allow us to make some different decisions on the building over here for the elementary school. We're excited about the projects. I know how this works. When we passed the bond issue, I would say that we were excited, but we didn't really find out until about 2:30 in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, so there wasn't a lot of jumping up and down. It was like, great, let's go home and go to bed. And then it's not a day or two later, people want to know where the new buildings are. And I try to tell them, like, we just don't bring them in on trucks, right? I mean, it's going to take some time. And we also know from the building process that people are excited. In between, it gets a little messy because we're going to make choices. We're going to have to go through a number of different challenges along the way. And then at the end of the day, when we cut the ribbon, everyone holds hands again, and we're all excited about moving our students in. I can tell you that there will be a lot of conversation about what we think classrooms should be today and what they should be like in the future. They will not look anything like you see today. We know already that there has been a lot, since we built Grindstone, there's been a lot of changes in instructional, the design of instructional spaces for our elementary students and for our high school students. So here's a timeline I shared, right? So we were successful, that was great. We're in the midst of doing the whole planning process, including, I want to highlight, there's a lot of conversations that will have to happen over at the middle level complex. Bringing our 5th and 6th grade students over there. Inside of that building, there will be a lot of conversations about the instructional design. So when people say, is it going to be a junior high, is there going to be a middle school, I try to make sure that they understand that that's really about instruction. It's not necessarily about the grade bands. It's an approach. Middle school approach is different than a junior high approach. Our teachers and staff will be actively involved in designing what that will look like when we open up that building for all those students in 2018. And as you can see, in July, we'll start doing the renovations for the rest of the buildings. The other thing that you'll see, because we're very fortunate with our nutrition services department, we have significant dollars that we can invest in our cafeterias. Even the buildings that weren't designed, or at least it wasn't part of the conversation to do those renovations. We'll be able to renovate the middle level complex cafeteria, probably a place to eat also in the Middlebrook Education Center for 5th grade students, most likely. So you'll start to see some of those things happen early on, including maybe some new furniture for those areas. And then February 18, we begin construction on the high school, and then in June of 18, we'll talk about the demolition of this building and the construction of the new elementary school. The goal, I can tell you, people ask me all the time, when are our 9th grade students moving over to the high school? You know when the 5th grade students are going over to the middle level complex. We are looking right now, as soon as our students finish their registration of their courses, we will look to see if we can move our students over to the high school beginning next school year. There are some challenges there. We have to think outside of the box when it comes to space, but we'll look at that. Ideally, the sooner we can get our 9th grade students to the high school, the better, for a variety of reasons. You know, logistically, it's been a challenge for the school district when we went into the consolidation. And then secondly, it provides us additional swing space within that building when we want to do some construction throughout the school year. And then you can see the first day of the elementary school will be here in August of 2019, and the high school in 2020. And that also needs to, I also say, so if somebody's in the room from any of the companies, that needs to be on time and under budget, from my perspective. So that's the story of where we are as a school district. It will be continual. We're going to put together a website so people are curious about what's happening with the construction. You'll know where we are with certain things. It is a very large project, one of the largest ones in the state right now. And we're very fortunate that we have a great team put together, people that we've worked with in the past, and then also people that we know based on experiences elsewhere as part of our entire team when it comes to construction. Before I do the questions, I would like just to finish up with this. We're really excited about all the things that are going to happen over the next several years when it comes to our buildings. And we know we're going to create some just incredible learning spaces for our kids, and we can't thank our community enough that they recognize that and they supported us. It sent a very powerful message to our school district, everybody within our school district. But I also want you to know that during all this time, we understand what our primary focus is. Okay, we're not going to get so caught up in something that we lose focus on what's most important, and that's the kids that are in our classroom every single day, when they get to the bus stop, when they get on the bus, when they get off the bus, and when they enter into our doors. Priority one is the kids and the instruction that we provide. And I want everyone to know that there's anyone in our district. I mean, we have a number of just incredible teachers that are here this evening, and I thank them for being here. But they know that's their priority, and they do that every single day. And I tell people all the time, you want to see magic, you come into one of our buildings and you'll see it. Happens every day across this school district. So thanks to our teachers that are here and the support staff that make that happen. Maybe a hand, that'd be great. All right, so we have a few questions, and then some people may have questions after I talked about the bond issue. I'll try to get to some of these, and then, like I said before, we'll get these posted so you can see the responses. One of the questions I saw already was what's going to happen with the gifted program, because the gifted program right now is across the street at Brook Park Memorial for our elementary students. The plan is, at this point in time, that they will become part of the new building design here on this campus. Right now, that's the plan. Another question was around what is the district going to do in regards to bullying and intimidation and harassment. And I can tell you that there are a number of things that are happening throughout the school year in regards to prevention. And that goes from programs like positive behavior interventions and supports amongst our staff and our students. It also involves conversations that happen amongst the students and adults. It is a priority for us, and we recognize that our students, it's a teachable opportunity for us to talk to our kids about behavior, respect, making sure that we're treating each other the way that we should be treating each other. And there are programs that are happening, there are incentives that are happening so that our kids recognize that that's important. And when kids do things that they shouldn't do, that we handle those the way that we should handle those in regards to changing behaviors, most important. Learning moment, changing behaviors, and then in some cases providing consequences if it continues. And whoever asked that question, I can talk about that a little bit longer with you after. Someone asked me, and the question was, how is the administration going to be chosen for the new buildings? And I can just tell you that we will have a lot of conversations about that. That conversation has not actually started at this point. There's some time to be able to do that over the next year. Someone asked a question regarding is the gifted program going to be phased out, or when is it going to be phased out? There is no plans for the gifted program to be phased out. Part of the question was, is there going to be additional cameras in the new schools? If you look at how we built Grindstone Elementary has a number of cameras throughout that building, and that'll be part of both the elementary school and the high school. There'll be all kinds of different security components to the new buildings. Oh, that one I did. I'll do that in a second. Gifted, thanks, that's good. A question regarding the RAIM athletic facility. Will there be, when will be done to provide an equal locker room for our girl athletes? Currently, old classroom, one bathroom, one shower, open lockers. I can tell you that there are already architectural drawings for that we worked on and are completed, and that renovation will be happening here soon in the spring so that we make sure that we have appropriate space for both our female and male athletes in regards to working out at that facility. That's an incredible facility with just a great resources, and because of the energy and the efforts that have been put in by our athletic department and coaches, it is being used all the time. All the time, we have athletes in there utilizing all of the different workout spaces. Is there a plan in the new school to display all of the plaques of success for Mid-Park and Berea and the past students? Yes, I can tell you that we have those all organized very neatly in a secure location in the district. We actually have them over at Smith Elementary School, but and they will be part of the new building to honor the history of the school district. We value that. We know that's important, not only to those people that were here over the years, but also for our students. It's important for our students to recognize the history of the district. And they ask whether or not they're currently thrown in boxes. They are actually at this point in time very well organized with, we know exactly what we have over there. When we first went through the consolidation, I can tell that they were probably not as well organized. So the question is, why do we invest in new windows, invest money in new windows at the old high school just to tear them down? Well, at the time that we invested dollars into new doors, windows, actually some of the windows at the high school, we didn't have much of an option because if the student leaned on the window, it was going to fall out. Literally, it was going to fall out based on the brick around the window, so we had to actually fix the brick and then also replace some of the windows. At the time that we did that, we didn't have $112.5 million that we know is going to be exciting for our new students. I can also tell you when it comes to demoing a building or raising a building, that comes into the price, what can be recycled or what can be reused as the total cost of taking down a building. Just like we've done in the past when we took down River Edge and Parknell and Rame, part of that whole conversation of total cost incorporates what we have in those buildings that they can resell or reuse. Great example of that will be boiler systems. We have newer boiler systems across the street. Somebody will come in and that'll be part of that price. Somebody will probably want those. Let's see, is the administration aware of the stormwater fees? And how much those cost? Yes, we are. We actually work closely with the sewer district, Northeast Ohio. Is it the Northeast Ohio Sewer District or something like that? I'm looking over there because we actually receive a discount based on incorporating some of those, some of the things that they would like us to incorporate into our curriculum, which we already teach. And then there's a question around differentiation. What efforts, if any, are being made to increase differentiation in the classroom across the district? What training and supports is given to the classroom teachers in this regard? I can tell you that that's part of a professional development plan. And anyone, let's see, whoever asked that question, you can get much more specific answers from Jason Niedermeyer, who is our Director of Academic Affairs with our elementary students and students here, and then also Karen Frimmel, who's hiding over in the corner. You can reach out to both of them and they can give you much more detail, along with any of the staff members that are here that can answer that question. I think that's it for now. I would encourage you, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to either call me, email me. I prefer to talk on the phone. It's easier for me, and I just do that more than I do go into long emails. So thank you so much for coming tonight and all the support you give the Berea City School District.
Thank you.